Because people pay too much taxes to run the bad public schools. If you could just give me back my property taxes that I spend on the very bad public schools, it costs $8,000 per pupil to give them a bad education and give them a bad attitude, and spend it on the $4,000 it costs to go to a private school, I would have enough money to put all my kids through school.
I heard the last guest talk about the $20 billion that was spent
total
for
waste.
Administrators.
Federal,
and I agree with that.
Total waste.
I agree with that.
None of that.
But also,
Donna, they lost $2 billion when the GAO went after them. They lost $2 billion with a B, people, and they couldn't find it. And nobody went to jail. Something's wrong here, Donna.
I'm the guest, William.
Okay,
wait a minute.
All right, go ahead.
Let me talk a little bit.
Go ahead.
Okay, because this is what I want to say. You're right. There's a lot of waste in our school system. A lot of waste, and we need to cut that and get back to basics. Because in the LA County school system, in certain schools, top performing students are coming to college and they're performing as they should. Why? Because in Clarita Valley, they have the resources. Why? Because in South Central LA, they spend the resources on security. And that's absolutely craziness. I'm an auditor. You didn't ask me, but I'm a certified financial manager. I'm an auditor. I retired from the Department of Defense in 1996, and I retired from the MTA, Metropolitan Transportation Authority, this year in order to run. I know something about contracts, like that $40 billion that Gray Davis spent for those energy contracts. They're only worth $11 billion. Where's the $29 billion? Well, it's with his friends who he signed the contracts with, his campaign contriters. You know what, William? We don't even have a deficit.
We need to vote for Gary Copeland
or
Peter Cameo.
Thank you. Yes. Peter Miguel Cameo.
But I prefer Gary Copeland.
You're a libertarian.
Well, it is, but I agree with you. Davis has ripped us off. The Democrats have sold us out. The Republicans have sold us out.
Yes.
I mean, absolutely.
Now you're talking my language.
I wonder why people don't see that.
You know why? Okay,
this
is my explanation, because I come from a community where people are overwhelmingly Democrat. Black people are overwhelmingly Democrat. Even though Clinton put 225,000 more black people in prison under his 8 years than Reagan Bush did the 12 years before under mandatory minimum. Even though Clinton abolished welfare as we used to know it. But people still go to the polls and vote for Democrat. Look what they did in the mayor's race. They didn't want to vote for, quote unquote, the Mexican, Antonio Villaraigosa. They voted for James Hahn. He turned right around and booted out the police chief and brought in a man from New York who, what is that policy? Something about window breaking, where you arrest the people who commit misdemeanors and so you'll catch them from committing felonies. That's just like the 3 strikes law, putting people in prison for 50 years.
I'm glad you brought up so many issues. I just can't even keep up.
I have a lot of issues. We have a lot of issues.
The 3 strikes issues. They said that was a good idea. 3 strikes, bam, we put you away forever and you never get out. And I'm looking at this and I'm saying, wait a minute.
Not a good idea.
Wait a minute. If it's 3 murders, 3 separate murders, put them away forever.
No, wait a minute, William.
But what if it's,
why not?
What if it's 2 carjackings when you're just turned 18?
That's right.
And then you steal somebody's backpack, which someone paid over $500 for, making it a felony, and now you send somebody to prison for life and spend $40,000 a year?
Let me correct you on the murders.
So you're against the 3?
I'm against 3 strikes in its present form. We want to amend 3 strikes to violent felonies only.
I agree with that.
Families to amend California's 3 strikes. But let me go back to the murder.
I can go on. I think most libertarians would go on with that.
You commit a murder, you don't need 3 strikes.
One strike.
That's 1 strike.
That's
one strike. But what happens under 3 strikes? There's 60,000 people in prison in California under 3 strikes. Most of them are there for nonviolent felonies. The case that's coming up before the Supreme Court on Election Day, November the 5th, is the case of Mr. Andrade. He was sentenced to 50 years to life for stealing $153 worth of videotapes. And the Ninth Circuit Court finally, after 8 years, said that that's cruel and unusual punishment. Well, let me tell you, as a taxpayer, that's $3 million to you if Mr. Andrade lasts the 50 years. So if that ruling by the Ninth Circuit Court had just stood in place, then at least 4,000 people who are guilty of petty theft, writing a bad check, a little bit of drugs, maybe a joint, would be coming home. And If they need rehab, we would put them into rehab. But guess what Gray Davis and Bill Locklear did? They appealed the decision. Appealed the decision that 50 years to life for petty theft is cruel and unusual punishment. I say any idiot with no sense knows the 50 years to life.
You know what this brings up
petty theft?
Have you ever heard of the fully informed jury amendment? Libertarians have been pushing this for years.
Well, refresh my memory.
This means if you're on a jury and the judge says to you, you must vote guilty if he stole the $300 or the $110, even though it's his third felony, he goes away for life, you must find him guilty. The fully informed jury amendment says if the jury finds the application of the law is so bizarre in this case, they can throw the law out with
good idea.
The facts, even if he did it, even if it's proven he did it, and they say, wait a minute, we're not going to put this 21-year-old kid in prison for the next 70 years.
But let me tell you
and the judges don't like this. They say, no, you will follow my orders. And if I say you got to do this. But the FIJA, the fully informed jury amendment says, hey, if this is that stupid, you can ignore the judge. You don't have to tell the judge. Just say, not guilty,
and you know what?
Ignore it. And if
that is your right as a juror.
It is, but most people don't know that.
That's right. You know why?
They don't know that.
Because that's exactly what the court does. And this is what's wrong with the system. There's too many ex-prosecutors who are judges.
I agree.
And all they want to do is lock up the person and throw away the key. And they won't even tell the jury that this person is being tried under 3 strikes. Because if they did, a lot of people wouldn't find them guilty because they're against 3 strikes. Why do I know? We just took a poll. 2/3 of Californians do not believe that 3 strikes should be applied to non-violent felonies. But our court system is so screwed up. Malicious prosecution by the prosecutors each and every day, and it's mainly towards poor people.
I agree with you.
We're not finished, are we?
Not yet.
Okay.
If you just surfed in, I'm William Wagener on Second Thought, trying to give you second thoughts about things. And we've got just a few minutes left here with Donna Warren, the Green Party candidate for Lieutenant Governor. I must tell you, I invited all Lieutenant Governor candidates to be here last week, this week, and Donna Green showed up. And Pat Wright,
Donna
Warren showed up. Pat Wright, the Libertarian candidate, regrets he had a conflict, couldn't make it. Donna is here. And I'm finding it very interesting. I don't agree with the feminist issues on the way they interpret it. I don't agree on government education. I don't agree on the death penalty position. I think some people deserve to be executed, Don. I'm sorry. I just think there are some people so vile, you cannot rehabilitate them.
Let me tell you what's wrong with the death penalty. Okay?
Too many people who shouldn't be executed.
Too many, right,
including the black man who was on death row for 20 years in L.A. for a crime. 4 white Los Angeles cops said, he's the black guy, he did it, and they convicted him. And all the time he was saying, I was in jail at the time of this murder in New Mexico.
And they don't care.
And they didn't care.
They don't care.
His prosecutor didn't check on it. His defending public defender, all he had to do was pick up the phone and call New Mexico and say, hey, was this guy in there?
Let me tell you,
William,
William,
check.
This is what happens.
So I agree in that case, the death penalty is wrong.
Not only that case, look at Texas.
But when somebody is guilty of...
Yeah, but you don't know. That's the problem. You don't know.
I do know.
Wait a minute. And for people who are poor, people of color, they don't get the right representation. They get biased juries.
This woman committed mass murder of 80 people in Waco. She has not even been put on trial, not even indicted.
Because she is not poor and she's not a person of color, William.
Well, I don't know if it's a matter of color or not, but...
and she's not poor. Is she poor?
But shouldn't she be in prison? Shouldn't she be executed?
Every American is supposed to be treated equally under the law. And it doesn't happen in this country.
You're right.
And that's why we need to have a new change in Sacramento.
Libertarians would
Camejo and Warren, that is.
Libertarians would make medical marijuana legal, totally legal.
And so would we.
I agree. One of the reasons is Cubby, our last candidate for governor, who needed medical marijuana to fight his pancreatic cancer and went through a stupid trial, wasted taxpayers' money. Now he's living in Canada in peace.
But you know, William, not only that,
sad.
The people of California believe like we do that medical marijuana
52%
should be legal. But the federal government is so intent of coming in. Why are they doing it?
I'll tell you why.
You know why? Because they want to keep it criminal because it runs their system.
Right.
It runs money laundering for the banks. It runs.
You brought up the issue of the CIA running the drug
crack
trafficking.
cocaine. Yes.
When did you discover it. I've known this as a libertarian because I got people in the Pentagon that talk to me. I got people that I knew in Vietnam that talk to me. I've had Ted Gunderson, an FBI director, tell me this. How did you find out that the CIA really runs the worldwide drug?
1998, when I got the smoking gun letters between the director of the CIA, William Casey, and the director of the Attorney General, Department of Justice, William French Smith, who said in 1982 that you do not have to report narcotics trafficking between the CIA and the Department of Justice. That's right. And then drugs came into our community. And why do I know? Because in 1998, I sued the CIA for their complicity in infesting crack cocaine in my South Central community and in my eventual death of my son, who was a crack addict.
Oh, I'm sorry, Donna.
Yes. And,
Well, Donna,
I'm still fighting them. You know why? William?
I want to have you back again. We got too much to talk about it. After the election, I want you to make it. Will you come back?
Yes.
Okay. I want you to come back. Donna Warren, a Green candidate for Lieutenant Governor. If you don't vote for Pat Wright, the Libertarian, she's my second choice recommendation.
Thank you, William.
With that, I'm going to go back to this tape with Ernie Armenta a little bit, but I want to give you 1 minute to sell whatever. I'll give you 1 minute. Tell the voters what you want them to hear. It's your floor.
I want the voters to come out of their comfort zones. Everybody says we don't want Gray Davis, we don't want Bill Simon. Well, come out and say who you do want. There are two very able candidates on the program. Peter Miguel Camejo, the Green Party candidate, who is my personal favorite, and William's personal favorite, Gary Copeland. And when you vote for Lieutenant Governor, remember this: if Gray Davis is re-elected, you need to have a Lieutenant Governor who, when Gray Davis goes off to run for president, who will be the acting governor. Now, Bruce McPherson said that he wants to prepare California for a 2004 Bush victory. I don't want to prepare anything for a Bush victory. He's caused us enough heartache as it is. Bring me in, vote me in, Donna Warren, for Lieutenant Governor, and I will make sure that we have justice in our beautiful state of California. And I want to thank Second Thought and William very much.
Well, it's a pleasure having you, Donna. Okay, we're going to go to a tape, and we'll be back in just 1 minute.